This preview brought to you by Harness Racing Victoria.
Absolutely tremendous meeting of harness racing coming our way out of Ballarat. Ballarat Cup Night, really good support program as well. We'll talk about some of those races as we go through the preview. And of course, the Cup itself, we've got the Pure Steel, an important standing start race for some horses trying to get their way qualified and also into the field for next Saturday night's Hunter Cup, and what a meeting that will be at Melton in 8 days' time. Includes the heats of the Victoria Derby, and of course just this week we've seen Team McCarthy flex their muscle on the country circuit in Victoria, bling it on, and also All Black Stride, fantastic winning their lead-up races, and Let Us Rock Them going to Shepparton to do so as well. But more about that in the build-up towards those Derby heats. It's Ballarat we're focusing on, and we have got a jackpot as far as this Ballarat meeting goes, and that is for the Big Six races. So races 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Finishing up with the Ballarat Cup, and we've got a kickstart for those who want to get involved. First leg there, race 3 at 7:33, $10,000 kickstart into that Big Six pool. We'll have a look at all of those races on the way through the meeting. Well, let's get into it. We see on a lot of these Country Cup programs, I think a real bonus of them has been some of these heat and final races we have. Heats run at a variety of different tracks into 2 or 3 different finals in front of a big stage, and it'll be a huge crowd there at Ballarat. Of course, Gareth Hall and Jason Bonington will be trackside for Sky Racing, bringing you all of the latest betting news, the previews, the tips, and some key interviews around the major players for this Ballarat Cup meeting. Well, starting with race 1, the first of these heat and final events, and we saw heats run at Geelong back on the 19th of January for this particular race. And even though Lem's Cameo was beaten there for Andy and Kate Gath, probably over race, got a little bit fired up in the middle stages and suffered its first defeat in Australia after a couple of really good wins. So has terrific gate speed. It's only the 1,700 metre trip, and Lem's Cameo looks very, very hard to beat here. Should use that gate speed from barrier 1, hold the front and be hard to run down. Main dangers, well, Earth Angel was very good, sat behind the leader and used the sprint lane to be able to beat Lem's Cameo that time. Now, it's not going to get that sort of charmed run again. David Aikens got good improvement out of Earth Angel, but this time starts from 3 out on the back row and won't be getting that cosy run in behind the favourite Lem's Cameo. Baz's Art, quick beginner, will try and challenge Lem's Cameo early for that pacemaker's role. Sat 1-1 when ran third in its heat and did enough on that occasion to be certainly in the mix, and it has to be considered. And then number 5, Roger's Joy, showed a little bit last campaign in some better races, led when first up in its heat and wasn't disgraced, so will surely strip fitter for that performance. So in the opening event, mainly because of barrier draws and what we've seen through the qualifiers, Lem's Cameo to atone for a surprise defeat, if you like, in the heat and win 1, 10, 3 and 5 in the opening event. Let's go to race 2 on this Ballarat Cup program, and another of the heat and final series. We had heats run at a couple of different venues, starting with Kilmore back on the 15th of January. No tricks to this. It's been an inspired little choice by trainer Dean Braun to target this series with Nike Franco, a former New Zealander, bred in the purple, being out of a wonderful mare. She ran in some of the best races in New Zealand, including a New Zealand Cup, the mother of Nike Franco being Nerea Franco. Should just be too good for these. Most impressive, winning both Australian runs, drawn nicely, gets Chris Elford, looks to have a stack of upside, and many of these, well, they might win a few races, but you can see Nike Franco going on to win much, much better races than this. It'll be short, should be sweet and winning, might be all about trying to find some money through the multiples. Based on barrier draws, gee, Anna's Innocent was really good, charging home from a mile back in its heat. Good performance there, drawn nicely. If you can show the sort of gate speed to use barrier 1 and probably get that spot in behind Nike Franco, then it looks the logical Quinella runner. Tallulah Bay has a really, an absolute stack of gate speed, and used that to go to the front and win the heat. I'm a bit of a fan of Tallulah Bay, but it's going to be hard with Nike Franco and also Anna's Innocent drawn inside. It's clearly in the top three for me. Then it's a fair gap out to the rest. Gold Finale ran fourth first up and then went to Bendigo on Wednesday, so it'll be on the quick back up here at Ballarat, but I thought that second at Bendigo was okay. Still sits a little bit below the top three, I think, in the pecking order. 2, 1, 4 and 9. The 2 will be winning. Numbers 1 and 4 the key to your Quinellas and trifectas there in the second event. Well, let's go to race 3, and this is a race, as we said, that starts that big 6 with the jackpot of 10 grand going into it. And again, it's another one of these heat and final races, and we're going to have a short price favourite here in Young Modern. I'll talk more about it shortly. It's already won a feature race this season back on Victoria Cup on the 14th of December, but it was freshened after that and was able to win its heat, but not overly impressively. I'm going to go for a bit of value here. I want to take you back to Monday at Maryborough in a heat of this series won by So It Goes. Former South Australian pacer sat without cover here. We haven't seen all the work it did early in the race, but trained by Peter Thompson, the father of Kate Gath. He works as part of the Andy and Kate Gath team, but this is one he trains in his own name, and as I said, did a stack of work early. But look at this one, put a gap in them in the run home.
Wider, went fast down the back, So It Does. Can it keep on going? It's still out by about 6 metres. They're all tied, but So It Goes, with that fast move down the back, has taken the sting out of its rivals, and So It Goes on to win by 12. Second, She's Even Cooler, and third, Stylish Ruler.
Yeah, well, it was a stunning win. They didn't finish off that quickly. The knockers might say the last quarter was slow, but down the back, obviously the plan by Kate Gath and Dad Peter Thompson was to turn it into a staying test and use this one's strength. A 6-year-old taking on the 3-year-old in Young Modern, lightly raced over in South Australia, but I like it. I think it's the value bet of the night. I know that Young Modern is the obvious one. Now, it beat a really, really good field, including the likes of Yankee Rockstar, going back to that Victoria Sires Classic, the 3-year-old race at Melton on Victoria Cup Night, December 14. Trainer Mick Stanley then freshened this one up, set it for this series, and went to a qualifying heat at Ballarat. Now, was able to use its gate speed to lead and win that one, but it was a bunched finish, and the margin wasn't great. So, obvious improvement to come out of it. Deserves to be a sure price favourite on winning that feature 3-year-old race, but it is taking on older horses, and quite a nice one, I think, here in So It Goes. So I'm not sure it should be as short as perhaps it will be. I'm going to go for a minor upset. Go for the 7 So It Goes to beat number 1 Young Modern, who will be the commanding favourite. Number 11 Racer sat behind the leader and ran a close second to Young Modern in that heat. As I mentioned, it was a bunch finish. And Lots of Life, well, it sat outside of Young Modern in the heat, did all of the work, and was very, very close up still at the finish. Greg Sugar's drives from an awful draw in the final. So Young Modern the hot favourite, but I'm going for 7 So It Goes to beat 1 Young Modern, 11 and 12 there in the first leg of the Big 6, which is race 3. Let's go over to the 4th event now, and this is a race where I'm really looking forward to getting another glimpse at one of the rising stars of Victorian harness racing. Guaranteed, part of the all-conquering Emma Stewart and Clayton Tonkin stable. He was a wonderful 2-year-old. He did a few things wrong at different times during his 3-year-old career, but he's always looked as though he has the ingredients to make a Grand Circuit pacer. Now, he was very good winning the Chokin final when he sat parked against Majestic Mark. That was back on Miracle Mile Day last month, or back in November, late November there at Menangle's Tabcorp Park. He was freshened up after that with a view to getting ready for the Chariots of Fire, which is to be run on Inter-Dominion Day, the 2nd of March there at Menangle. He's having a build-up campaign through these sorts of races. Thought he was really, really good, even though the margin wasn't great, winning first up there at Shepparton Cup last Saturday night. He should be too good for them, guaranteed. He'll be fitter for that run. He's racing at his home track, Ballarat, where he's not only done some racing, but he's been through stacks of trials in his life as well. This will suit him ideally. Number 4 Guaranteed to beat number 11 Alchemy, who is an underrated pacer. Has a really good dash of speed. I think Alchemy's even better when he's driven sit sprint these days. Number 2 Kiyang Hanover is first up from a break. Yeah, it's a bit of a jury out on him, but the best of Kiyang Hanover would be competitive from barrier 2, and Victoria May has been racing well without luck from bad barrier draws, comes into barrier 3 and might be able to get into the minor placings, but guaranteed should be too strong, too good for them. The 2200 metre suits 4 to beat 11, 2 and 3. Remembering that it's the second leg of the Big Six, but the quaddie tonight, tomorrow night I should say, has been changed. It starts on race 5, so guaranteed race 4 is not part of the quaddie. Let's move on to that first leg of the quaddie, and it starts with the first of 2 heats of the Australasian Trotters Championship. Really, really good race coming up here. For the first time this campaign, we get to see Blitzum Calder take on what you would call genuine open class. It's not the best of the Victorian Trotters, but it is a step up on what we've seen him in this campaign. I think Connections have been smart, taking him through some lesser type lead-up races. He is a confidence trotter. He's got a really good foundation under him now, and he's been winning by big spaces and demolishing his opposition. He should win tonight. It suits. It's a long trip. It's a standing start. He's very slow to get going in his races. Sometimes that even applies to the mobile, but the standing start means he can balance up over the long distance, and he should be too good for his opposition, Blitzum Calder. Is he the best trotter in Victoria? Potentially yes, but right now definitely not. That title belongs to My High Expectations, who runs in the second heat. It's good they're not clashing. They will clash, all things going well, in the final at that Hunter Cup meeting in 8 days' time. So Blitzum Calder on top, should be too good for them. Number 8, Cold Sister, the stablemate of My High Expectations. She's not as good as him, but she's very consistent. She'll need that little bit of luck from inside of the second row. Number 3, Motu Young Jacob. Now, he's been mixing running in the traditional trotting races with the saddle trots, and I must say, running in the saddle trots, he's taken to that beautifully, but it also seems to have rejuvenated his interest in traditional trotting races. I think he can give a cheeky sight from barrier 3 from the standing start. And Vulcan, don't know what to make of him. He's got a 20-metre handicap to overcome. His form has been very, very up and down this campaign, Vulcan, but you've got to respect him on his best form. 7, 8, 3 and 10 in race 5. That's the first leg of the quaddie, and we've still got loads more to come in this preview for Ballarat. But that is the first leg of the quaddie, the first heat of the Australasian Trotters Championship. Okay, let's get into race 6 at this Ballarat Cup program, and this is the Pure Steel, one of the highlights of the meeting. Unfortunately been robbed of the horse I think was the one to beat, a real rising star of Victorian and Australian harness racing for that matter, in Kiyang Steamer. He set outside smoking up only a couple of weeks ago to win the Horsham Cup. Unfortunately, we hear that he has suffered a minor setback, the extent of which we'll know more of in the next week or so. But he's not only out of this Pure Steel, he's out of the Hunter Cup and out of the Inter-Dominion Kiyang Steamer. So that is disappointing news. It paves the way for I'm Causing Terror to win this race now. To me, it looked a match in 2. I'm Causing Terror made an uncharacteristic mistake from the standing start at Shepparton last week. Galloped, probably lost about 20 to 30 metres and did a really good job to close on them strongly late. This is a drop back in grade. He looks really well suited from the standing start here, and he's going to be very, very hard to beat. I'm Causing Terror. If there's a logical danger, it's got to be the Team McCarthy trained 2IC. Big fan of this horse. He's got a cult following. Of course, he is the pacer with only one eye, hence his name, but he's come back really well in the care of Belinda McCarthy this campaign. The query is, this is his first standing start. He was very, very good getting close to guaranteed at Shepparton last week, and he looks the main danger, but he'll need to step away safely and stay in front of I'm Causing Terror. I think if I'm Causing Terror steps away well, he'll probably go round, control the race. Don't know what to make of number 2, Marsish. He was unstoppable. He won the Ballarat Cup last year and the Hunter Cup. His form this year has essentially been terrible. He just seems to have lost his interest in racing. Obviously, he loves the stand. Hunter Cup winner, off the front mark here. Gee, you think he'd be hard to beat, but I don't know what to make of him. Take him on trust. And number 1, Metro Mike. He's a real up-and-comer, this horse. Liked his performance win 3rd in the Hamilton Cup last time, and I've put him in for 4th. So 11, I'm Causing Terror, will be short, but very, very hard to beat, ahead of 10, 2 and 1. In the second leg of the quaddie, race 6, 11, 10, 2 and 1. Let's go to that second heat of the Australasian Trotters Championship now. It's race 7 at Ballarat on the Cup meeting, and we're going to have a short price favourite here in My High Expectations. He has been a revelation, this American-bred trotter. He's just got better and better in the care of David Aitken, and there's no question he is the best trotter right now in Australia, and maybe he's as good as any trotter in Australasia. I know the Kiwis might have something to say about that, but with the talent pool spread between 2 heats of this series, he should be far too good for them. He likes these standing start races over the long trip, gives him a chance to balance up, and I think even though he's been winning some sprint type races lately, I think he's an even better stayer than he is speedster. Number 5, My High Expectations, really does pick himself. He'll be short and should be winning. Number 11, Mr Zion. Oh, he's a remarkable story. The pacer turned trotter. He was good even though he was beaten last time in Adelaide. He had to do a lot of chasing. The leader just cut the ribbons in front, and it made Mr Zion work hard off his 30-metre handicap there. He's got to give them a start again. He's off 10 metres this time. Stoned I Am is racing really, really well. He's an opportunist. He likes to be coiled up and use that sprint of his late. And number 2, Empire Earl, has been really good since coming across from New Zealand to join Mick Stanley's stable. It's a step up for him. The other one to watch, obviously, Duke of the Moment in Dean Braun's stable. Back from a spell and must have been set for this series, but I've put them in 5, a standout, to beat 11, 10 and 2 in race 7, the second heat of the Australasian Trotters Championship. Let's move to the big one. It is the $175,000 PETstock Ballarat Pacing Cup. Always brings together a terrific field, and this is no exception. The barrier draw done back on Tuesday has been very, very decisive though, and as a result of that we've got a short price favourite in the Gold Ace. He was terrific winning the Cranbourne Cup back in December. I thought his performance in the Victoria Cup was sensational, and now he's come back after a little let up to win the Shepparton Cup. I want to show you that Shepparton Cup win last week. He did a lot of work. Most of it was spent sitting outside of the leader, and he really steps it into Smoking Up down the back straight. Here he is getting his nose in front of Smoking Up on the final bend and holding off some very talented rivals late.
Won't be denied. Wider, I'm causing terror. Here's a finish in the Shepparton Cup. Smoking Up, the Gold Ace. Late Restrepo. Great go. The Gold Ace. The Gold Ace has beaten Smoking Up and Restrepo flying late. What a finish.
Takes a pretty special horse to be able to sit outside Smoking Up and beat him. That's what the Gold Ace was able to do. Smoking Up so brave in defeat. He's in this race as well. But this time, almost certainly it'll be the Gold Ace in front and Smoking Up having to sit outside of him. I think he's an absolute standout. He's $2 fixed odds at the moment, but the leader in a race like this will be hard to beat. Let's have a look at that fixed odds market now. There's been a lot of betting interest in it. He was quickly $2.10 into $1.95, the Gold Ace. He has been the best backed runner. He's got back out to $2 because Chris and me's been $6.50 into $5, the Kiwi, and Caribbean Blaster has been $6 into $5.50 after a good bet on him yesterday. Smoking Up, he's going to have to do the work at $8, and a bet or punt is kept safe at $9.50 because he'll be parked inside of the back row and probably sitting on the Gold Ace's back. Just remember though, there is no sprint lane at Ballarat. Restrepo from the back row draw is kept safe at $13. I did think Restrepo had his chance though at Shepparton last week. He ran on okay, but he was entitled to after the beautiful trail that he had parked in behind Smoking Up and also the Gold Ace. So my thoughts in the race, going for the Gold Ace on top to beat number 2 Caribbean Blaster. Number 7 Chris and Me. Well, he was sensational in the Miracle Mile in the Victoria Cup. He went back to New Zealand. He's been beaten twice as an odds-on favourite over there. Where's he at? We're going to find out in this race. He'll need luck. He'll probably drift back and look to get a 3-wide trail into the race. And a bet or punt gets my nod as the 4th selection, mainly because he'll be sitting on the Gold Ace's back getting that charmed run. 1, 2, 7 and 8. Always feel bad when you leave Smoking Up out, but it is hard to see him being right there at the business end if he's got to sit outside the Gold Ace. 1, 2, 7 and 8 for me in the Ballarat Pacing Cup. Great race coming up. Most of the key players will be backing up in the Hunter Cup a week later. All right, let's have a look at the last couple of races. We've got another heat of the Victorian Platinum Trotting Mares Series. These are sprint races for the female trotters, and this is a good race. I think we've got plenty of exposed form to work with here. Paris Pepperell, I think, probably two major chances. Paris Pepperell might be able to use her gate speed to lead, and then I think we're going to have the very much fit, in form and flying Marita Louise OK having to sit outside Paris Pepperell. Opinions vary over what will happen in that scenario, but I think Paris Pepperell over the sprint trip might be able to lead throughout. So I'm going for her, number 2, to beat number 7, Marita Louise OK. She will have to do that work outside of the leader, and it's going to present a challenge. Then I'm popping Monica My Dear. She's first up from a break for David Murphy. She's going to get that cosy run back on the inside. She'll need to see daylight when it's right, but on her best form last campaign, she can be competitive. And Bitten by Valhalla will be fitter for a first up run, had good form last time in work, and if she can take that spot in behind Paris Pepperell, she should be there at the finish. But the sprint trip, the key for me, tipping number 2, Paris Pepperell, to beat 7, 8 and 1 in the trotting mares race, race 9. Let's go to the last of 10 on this Ballarat Cup program, and here, very, very keen on Madam Pom Pom. And I know it's a little bit of a take-on-trust scenario. Under the care of Jonna Marie Caldo, she built a really good record as a youngster. She went through a campaign where her form dropped off. Connections decided on a stable change. She went to Emma Stewart and Clayton Tonkin, and then she was beaten as an odds-on favourite first up for them. I think she can improve on that. The small field suits her, the sprint trip also suits, and this is a real D-day for her. If she's going to go anywhere in a career that promised so much, Madam Pom Pom needs to come out and win this race. I'm backing or tipping her to do so. She'll be fitter for that first up run. She should be very hard to beat on her home track. 7, Madam Pom Pom on top to beat Roger's Passion. The other one that's got a little dash of class about her. She was okay. She had a nice sort of run, and won as you'd expected with that run first up at Melton last week. Number 2, Lavish Art. She was third in that Melton race when she sat behind the leader last week that was won by Roger's Passion. And then Alina ran, she just had to do too much work last time, and I'm forgiving of that performance. It's still hard to see her beating a couple of the class runners in Madam Pom Pom and Roger's Passion here. So in the last race, I'm going 7, 3, 2 and 5. Let's go to an overview of the meeting now. My summary, the best bet, as mentioned on the run-through, the Gold Ace to win the Ballarat Cup. He's a class act. I think it comes down to barrier draws. Unless Smoking Up really pours the pressure on him, I think he'll be able to lead throughout and win this Ballarat Cup, the Gold Ace. And the one I liked at value in race 3 to beat the favourite Young Modern, number 7, So It Goes. Race 3, number 7. Like that performance first up for Peter Thompson across from South Australia. Let's now go to my suggested quaddie. It is a thin one. There's going to be a couple of short price favourites along the way in this quaddie. Remembering it is on races 5, 6, 7 and 8, not the usual races of race 4 onwards. And I'm going in the first leg, take numbers 7 and 8. That's Blitzum Calder with that little bit of insurance of Cold Sister, the only real danger. In the second leg, numbers 10 and 11. I'm Causing Terror will be a hot favourite, but I'm going to pop in 2 IC as well. Then number 5, My High Expectations, only in the third leg. And then the Cup. Just in case there is pressure on the Gold Ace, we can take numbers 1, the Gold Ace, number 2, Caribbean Blaster, and also number 8, A Bet or Punt, parked in behind it. That'll only cost you $12 for $1 if we go the skinny way and we're successful. Tremendous meeting coming up, Ballarat Cup Night. Remember, you'll be able to check out the tab fixed odds markets for all races about 10 minutes before their run, and looking forward to seeing also Gareth Hall and Jason Bonington doing their work from the track for the Ballarat Cup meeting. Great meeting ahead. Terrific weekend of harness racing once again. The Hunter Cup only a week away.
This preview brought to you by Harness Racing Victoria.